There was a announcement today. The head of the RBA did a luncheon, and she said it's going to be some time before the rates will start to go down. That's what she said at a luncheon today.
Yeah. Well, I did say my prediction was at the beginning of the year we wouldn't see any changes, any drops until 2025. So we're on track for that. I think it's a very good thing for the marketplace to see some stability in the interest rates, because it gives more confidence both to buyers and to vendors to say, okay, we've got some stability now. So whenever we hear those announcements from the RBA, we should take the positive spin. What does it mean for us in the marketplace? So whenever there's stability, I find, and there's no movement in the interest rates, people become confident and say, okay, well, we're not going to have a big boom, we're not going to have a big bust. It's a plateau, so people can make more informed decisions. What do you think, Kristen?
Yeah, I tend to agree. Look, you can speak to different people every day and get different viewpoints on it, and that's what we do in the lounge room every day, I suppose. But yeah, I think it'll get, well, it's going to get worse before it gets better, and I think it's just going to nothing's going to really happen till next year, is my opinion.
Yeah, totally agree. No, very good. Well, we're starting to get a few people on board. Welcome everyone to the fourth virtual workshop, I should say, of the Black Salt series, Agents in the Field, Training Agents in the Field. I'm super excited today because joining me is our co-host, Miss Kristen Carlyle-Mackenzie. How are you, Kristen?
Good. I'm a female with only one head today. The wife is she's just landed in Noosa, so it's just me.
The wifey has congratulations. Oh, in Noosa, of course. If you're going to leave Melbourne, where else to go but Noosa?
100%. No, she's gone up to pack up. We're selling a house up there, so she's gone up to start getting that done. So yeah, I'm here holding the fort.
Oh, interesting. And whilst we're on, and I love these segues that we get into during these training sessions, you're selling your own home now.
Yeah.
So the process of actually, and I know Gary just recently did that with one of his investment properties, and welcome, Gary. What's the emotions that you're going through, Kristen?
Oh, that's a loaded question, actually, because we own the property with my sister, so there's more emotions than, I won't even go into it. It's a what do you call it? It's a pleasure and a pain. The pleasure side of things is that we bought it in 2021, and by all accounts, it seems like we're going to have probably made about 600 grand. Not made it, but it will have increased in value by about 600 grand. So yeah, we'll come out ahead. It's been a beautiful home, but yeah, it's very sad because it's a very beloved property, but it has to go.
Yeah,
and that's
absolutely. Fine. But if it's got to go, if it comes with a massive windfall, you can celebrate that.
100%.
Properties can be replaced, as we know. But I think the most important thing is actually going through the motion. I know you've only just listed your property on the market, and it's such an important emotional lesson that we go through whenever we buy and sell. We just recently sold a commercial property as well. And whilst we're experienced real estate agents, we know the ups and downs of real estate. Actually being a vendor and going through those emotions and expectations that we want from our agents that are representing us, I think it's invaluable to go through that experience, because it actually helps us become better agents and deliver a better quality of service. I know, Gary, when we spoke to you about it, you went through that. Did you want to share your process?
Yeah, I will. Mark and I decided we bought a property in Coolangatta. It was a bit of a dream, kind of really extended ourselves financially to do it. Unfortunately, we got caught in the wave of good old Mayor Tom Tate on the GC doing a little bit of a wave of Airbnb clampdowns. So the project, which was really a property to be able to Airbnb, and it was a very good financial model, had it worked, but it did work for a short period of time until we got show cause notice, and then it became a very expensive beach house. But I'll tell you what, we had a hell of a lot of fun in 2 years there. It was the bomb. But we tried to sell it ourselves, and we panicked a little bit, got it on the market. And I suppose I did everything that I would not tell my clients to do, and not sort of polish the product. We went through an auction campaign, it failed. And I think being the sales agent yourself, I mean, I now understand. I don't think it's a great idea. That's just me personally. I think you do need the arm's length. Anyway, long story short, very quickly, is we interviewed 3 agents, so I became the vendor. And I also got some really great material from Ed Cherry, from Koloshi, and from the local agent. We ended up going with a local, smaller Harcourts agent who knew the market. He'd sold everything. But I tell you what, the journey of being the vendor and, to some degree, comparing or benchmarking yourselves against other businesses was really quite interesting to see their response time in communication. Do they reconfirm appointments? Just their process. I was quite surprised. And also the response of the agent who didn't get the business. Ed Cherry threw the toys out of the pram like a spoiled brat. And then the agent from Koloshi was very dignified, very refined. And since then, it's been a really sobering reminder when you don't get the business is how you behave and how you react. Because, I can reassure you, the ones that get a little bit more stroppy. But anyway, we sold the property pre-auction. We took a conditional offer. It was on the money. We came out of it. Maybe not 600K ahead like Kristen, but we didn't come out of it in a negative. But it was a very good reminder of what your clients are going through. It's a great thing to recalibrate the way you are as an agent.
Yeah,
don't worry.
100%.
We spent 559,000. So don't worry, it's not a profit.
Oh, right. Okay. Well, do you know what? It sounds like it was a much loved property, and that's the main thing.
Do you know the only reason we're not selling is because it doesn't fall in an Airbnb catchment. So exactly the same.
Same thing. I know Noosa has gone crazy. Actually, it's happening everywhere.
Yeah. And I get it. So that's fine.
Yeah, you understand it. You move on. It's a piece of property.
Yeah.
But as Manos said, the process and reminding yourself about what your vendors are going through. God, hours feels like weeks when you're waiting for a response on an offer. God, it's just like, oh, okay, click, fingers on the table.
Yeah, 100%. And that is the timely reminder of speed of execution is sometimes we don't know what the vendor is going through, and these processes that we go through, whether we're buying or selling, and we're on the other side, can reinforce our service delivery and say, hey, we need to be informing our vendors at every opportunity and our buyers. Way to go. Okay, let's move on to this week's session where we're focusing on winning the business. So we're finishing off winning the business for those people that tuned in last week, and also really excited to hear Kristen and Jax's process, #real estate, who are using the pre-market strategy to the nth degree to help them win business and secure more business down the track and become, $1 million agents within 3 years. So really well done. So moving forward, a big shout out to our industry partners team. Without these people, these sessions could not be made, could not be taken place. And of course, our Black Salt conference. And I want everyone to lock it into their diaries. The 10th and the 11th of December is the next Black Salt 2025. We're super excited that we've brought it forward to coincide with the beginning of the calendar year. We've got some huge speakers already locked in. From Chris Henry, from Lisa Novak. We've got actually Tom Panos, who is going to be on the couch with the young guns. We've got Christine Ewan coming back talking about how she became a multi-million-dollar agent and her processes. We've got the Fox and Wood team, who are superstars in their own right, who have created a phenomenal business in Cronulla, and how they're working their magic, and lots more. So super excited with the lineup for this year. And of course, the workbooks as well. The workbooks have been updated. So it's going to be amazing. So as we said, we've had our 3 virtual sessions, and today we're going to be talking about the pre-market strategy. Just as a reminder to everyone, your workbooks are so important to always have with your workbooks, the strategy and action workbook and the alpha and omega workbook. And as importantly, for those people, I'm assuming everyone's got their membership. We've got all the recordings from the Black Salt Conference, all of them. So, and they're all highlighted and they're all transcribed as well. So it's a super great reference to if you found one of the topics at the Black Salt Conference informative and you wanted a refresher, go back, log into your membership portal and have access to all those. And of course, the Black Salt 24 virtual sessions are all recorded as well. So you can go back and view those whenever you obviously, and also when you bring on team members and when you bring on new team members, get them into your membership login page and get them to watch the recordings. They're absolutely valuable. So big shout out to George, who obviously coordinates that. George from Creators of Omnipresence. Okay, so today's session, Winning the Business, the pre-market strategy, co-hosted with Kristen Carlyle-Mackenzie. Well, she'll be taking the session. But before we get into that, I want to just talk about a recap on obviously our last session. And we talked about the 4 listing presentation, which was the digital interview before you get into the door. And I want everyone to remember that 60% of vendors have already made a decision to use you if they've called you into their home before they even meet you. And it's a phenomenal statistic when you really think about how important our marketing is to get us in the door. And I had a coaching session with Julie Ormston yesterday. Unfortunately, she's not able to make it today. And it was a phenomenal discussion in regards to what she does from her digital footprint perspective to get in the door. And her opportunity ratio is one of the highest in the marketplaces because of it. And they've already made a decision to use her. The challenge is sometimes we stuff it up ourselves in the listing presentation. Of course, we move on to the phone call. The phone call actually starts with our voicemail. And how memorable is your voicemail? Because often when people call in for an appraisal, they'll get a voicemail in the first instance. And if you're not focused on your voicemail, there's a challenge there in itself. You're already one step behind. So make sure that phone call, and then obviously when you proceed to the phone call interview, using your first listing contact document and so forth. And then again, the in-house presentation, which is all about building rapport, asking great questions. And we'll go into a few questions here, handling objections when they do come up. And of course, we'll talk about the follow-up, and then we'll go straight into the pre-market strategy. And we've got some great agents on board right now who will be an interactive session. And I want this to be interactive. Okay, so please, it's a workshop. So please don't hesitate to unmute, put something in the chat. Arthur, you're hosting the chat room, and whenever someone's asking a question in there, you can obviously interrupt, show of hands, and get the information out to the audience. Okay, so let's go. So our session insights last week, one, the major reasons we lose, don't get called in. Number 2 was the 4 listing presentations, and then we moved into the listing presentation, presentation 1, digital interview, presentation 2, the phone call, first contact listing document, the pre-list kit, digital, analog, and the help us help you. We'll continue on with presentation 3, which is the in-house living room presentation using case studies and sold stories. So we're really focused on case studies and sold stories. That is, if you're not, it's not been a shift, that is your winning formula in your listing in-house presentation, is using your case studies. And case studies, there's a misconception that if something sold 8 months ago or 6 months ago or even a year ago, it's too old to bring into the listing presentation now, and that's incorrect. My suggestion always is bring all your success stories from the very first one within reason. Of course, if you've sold 500 homes, you're not going to bring in 500 case studies, but certainly 30, 40, 50, 60 case studies that you can refer to, the ones that match your current potential vendor, to give them, to share the experiences and the learnings from that, because that's what it's all about. So case studies is absolutely critical. And of course, we'll really focus on some follow-up today. The biggest challenge we have in real estate is not that the lack of leads, but we have a follow-up challenge. So moving straight onto it. Learn the art. So one of the great things that I learned early on in real estate is those agents that know and learn how to ask great questions, and of course are articulate in handling objections and conveying messages, are often the ones that win. And, you know, that old adage, we're given 2 ears and 1 mouth, so use it in that proportion. That is, speak less, listen more. And the more we practice and do our role plays, and that's why I encourage everyone, whether you do it as a group, whether you do it as an office, whether you do it as an individual, role play is critical to make sure that you, as I say, we sweat in training so that we don't bleed in battle. There is nothing worse than being with a live vendor that's about to hand over the keys to their home, their most valuable assets, and we stuff it up in the listing presentation. Right? And I think often as real estate agents, we know when we leave our home, we have a gut feeling of how well we connected, and whether we've done a great job or whether we may have lost them because we weren't able to articulate an objection or handle a question that they've asked, okay? So build and earn trust at every opportunity by asking great questions. All right, so, and what I've done over the next few slides, and I'd love people to come in, right, to give some examples of how they overcome these types of objections. And I've done it in this format for people to understand the concept, not necessarily learn this verbatim. So this isn't about you using this exact objection handling. It's about you understanding the concept behind it and then formulating your own, right? And it needs to be your own, because you need to believe what you deliver. Otherwise, the vendor will know, you know, will be able to see right through that. So we all know one of the big challenges in real estate, one of the big objections, and Kristen, I'd love to see your feedback, is the need to price property correctly. And the beauty is, I know your pre-market strategy does that exact thing about pricing a property correctly. But if someone says to you from an objection point of view, you know, I don't want to price it too low, I want to price it high. What's your strategy in getting them to understand the importance of pricing it correctly?
What I would say is we've introduced our pre-market strategy. I'll go into it later. There's a lot of different reasons for it, but one of them being that it is a price alignment strategy before you go to market. So for me, I can't remember the last time I walked in and priced a home. I don't see going in to do an appraisal or to meet someone as I don't even really, I'm completely different to everybody else I know, and you'll all think I'm mad, but I don't even do a lot of research before I go there. I go there to talk to them, and most of the time they know what they want or what they need. And I just talk less about what I think the price is worth and more about what they want and need in terms of where they're going. And I put it to them that if what you desire or need to move on is in alignment with what I believe I can achieve, then let's go on the journey together. But I don't remember the last time I walked in and told someone what I thought their property was worth.
Yeah.
Does that make any sense? I'll give them feedback. If they're way off, I'll say, look, and what I'll often say is, you know, because they tell me every time now, with the dialogue that I use gets them to tell me what they need or what they expect, and I'll tell them if I think it's off. I won't just tell them what they want to hear, but I kind of want to know where they're at, because I don't want to waste their time if their expectations are way too high, and I don't want to overpromise and underdeliver, because half the time we can be so wrong.
Yeah,
when we're
100%.
giving.
But you've got a strategy, the need to price property correctly. So you're using your pre-market strategy to say get a price alignment strategy in place. So that is your way of conveying how do we price a property correctly. Mrs. Vendor, we don't know what the market is prepared to pay until we go to market. How about let me share how I share things with a pre-market strategy, which will absolutely align your price correctly so we can maximize your results. And of course, there's so much dialogue that we can use.
And also, I say to them, after we've done the pre-market strategy, and if we then are proceeding to market, then we'll sit down and talk about the price range. Yeah. You know, it's gathering intel and then giving the advice, as opposed to giving the advice, then gathering intel and realizing you were wrong.
Yeah, and I think it's such a critically important, and I always say, we can't educate without commitment. We can't educate a vendor without commitment. And commitment is the signed authority and the trust that they instill in you to make sure that you obviously have secure the listing. And there's no point trying to educate a vendor and say, Mrs. Vendor, your price is at $1 million. The vendor wants 1.3 million, and without commitment from them, you're educating them to get them down to $1 million. So that's a wrong strategy. It's an absolute wrong strategy.
Also, who am I? If their dream is 1.3, right, and I think it's worth 1.1, I've been wrong on the flip side and been too low. Who am I to sometimes say no to someone's dream? So I'll always, unless it's ridiculous, but I'll always give it a go, but I'm not going to give it a go on market, because I don't want them to go to market if it's not going to sell. But I'll go through it in more detail, but it's all about building trust. That pre-market strategy or time is about them learning to trust you and the facts that you're bringing them, not just the price that you've given them, which is out of thin air.
Yeah, love it. The need to price property correctly. And then some dialogue around that. If I told you there was a diamond in a tube of toothpaste, this was one of Peter Clement's real estate agent of the year nationally on a number of occasions under REWA. So it was one of his favourite dialogues. If I told you there was a diamond in a tube of toothpaste, how would you find it? And of course, you start at the bottom, and he starts talking about pricing it correctly so we can get the right buyers at the right price point and then pushing it up. And of course, using that old, the absolutely true statement, if a property remains on the market for an extended period, most buyers think what? Something is wrong with the property. So again, Mrs. Vendor, we need to price a property correctly. Let me show you the strategy where we will find your price point to maximize your results. Okay. All right. So anyone else like to go for it, Kristen?
Quickly on that, at the moment, I don't know about the rest of Australia, but at the moment in Victoria, most offers are coming in very low. So regardless of how you price your property, we're getting lowball offers, right? So it's kind of important at the moment. I'm not really quote it low and watch it go. I never have been anyway, but that's why, again, I'm a bit the opposite. I sort of start high and work backwards, but do it before we go to market. Because lowball offers are so hard to get up at the moment. We just don't have the numbers.
Yeah.
So totally sometimes going too low is a bit of a problem at the moment.
Yeah. Awesome. Thanks for sharing, Kristen. Anyone else like to share anything that they're using as a strategy that's quite unique to the traditional in regards to pricing a property?
Could I just ask a question, please?
Please go for it, Gary.
So, Kristen, when you're doing your pre-market strategy, sorry, I did have my phone on me that I had a call that from a client. Sorry, and I might have missed it. Can I just ask quickly, when you're doing your pre-market strategy, are you getting photos, floor plan, and putting like a listing on your website, clearly not on the portals? Yeah. And what's your process around, are you paying for the photos and the video, the photos and the floor plan, or are you getting the client to commit to that part? Is that part of your pre-market strategy is getting them signed up, getting them to pay for the video, the photos or video, and are you putting it on your website and social media? How do you manage that part?
We've got a whole slideshow on this. You jumped in too soon, Gary.
Oh, sorry, shush. Whoops. Okay. Whoops. Okay, I'll do it, Gary.
I'll be handing over the reins in a couple more slides. We'll be over to Kristen. And
sorry, Kristen. Do you know what? I better mute myself. My husband likes to mute me all the time.
I love it. Okay. Again, I'm just going to quickly go through these because I can see everyone's keen to get into the pre-market strategy. I was just obviously following on from last month's presentation. So, of course, property marketing, increasing our buyer reach to find the best buyer. That's one of the objections that we have, or one of the concepts that we need to convey to our vendors in the lounge room. And one of the great questions that you can ask a vendor is, how are you researching? Currently looking for your next property? Ask them that sort of question, and then they'll say, oh, we go to realestate.com. We saw a signboard. We see it in the newspaper. Well, that was probably in the olden days, but by asking that question straight away, you're amplifying your marketing strategy. Okay, so when they say to you, this is how I'm researching, well, of course, they're going to say, well, I need to have my property on realestate.com, on Premier. Do you filter? Do you do this? Why we need to be at the top of the page? So, and understanding the tools that we have available to us. And of course, making sure that our marketing package is not so much a rod, but a net. And what the difference is between a net and a rod, and fishing in the ocean versus a pond. And you can use these metaphors as an example of conveying your message. Now, I'm not saying everyone should use this metaphor, but if you believe that it's easy for you to create a metaphor that you use to say, hey, marketing is your insurance policy, okay? When you have people talk about, the other agent said they'll pay for the marketing. Now, I know it's less and less common in marketplaces now, but we need to be able to handle that objection, right? So what do you say to your vendor when you come across that objection? So we need to have your tools in place for that. And of course, one of the strategies we used is, Mr. Vendor, I understand that some agents do offer that, but are they going to be focused on getting you the best price or recovering their costs? If they're holding 10 listings and they're paying for the advertising and it's $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 campaigns, that to me invites conflict of interest, because at the end of the day, they've invested in your property and they want a return on that investment. Now, will they be focused on your price, or will they focused on recouping their investment? So it's really important for people to understand. Does anyone else use, or is anyone really coming across people throwing in marketing in the marketplace now? I wouldn't think so. But again, if you are in a marketplace like that, you need to have an objection to handle that objection. Okay. Always two parts to our service fee. There are two parts to the selling fee, the parts versus labour. This is a great one we got from Lee Woodward. You only pay for our service once we achieve a result you're delighted with. So again, we can't be fairer than that. So again, this is learning to protect your fees in the marketplace. Mrs. Vendor, you only pay for our service once we achieve a result you're delighted with. And obviously separating the fee. There's the marketing. Why am I paying for marketing? Again, another objection you can handle this way. And of course, marketing is your insurance policy to ensure the best outcome. And one of the best strategies we use is our past. That's why I always say case studies are so important. Our past clients found marketing package XYZ to be the most effective. And if you have your case studies all written out, as we said in our last session, make sure they're fully documented. During your conversation, you can pull it out and say, hey, the one that we sold at number 1 Smith Street, John and Mary, they chose this package, this is the result. And we found their buyer through the photo board or the marketing board or the coming soon board or whatever it was that got them that result. So we need to have those live examples. And of course, when we're talking comparing fees, and so forth. The other agent will do it for less. No one gets that objection, do you? No one gets that objection at the other agent.
I'm literally I'm back and forth emailing this afternoon, and the beauty of this one is though that I actually don't care if I get it anymore. Like it's almost like I'm over it. And she's just a control freak, but I've just written down the last one. I'm going to use this one as well. It's a totally different kettle of fish when you just don't care either way anymore. Whether you like, I want the listing and I'll work hard on it, but I'm over begging. But I'm not changing my fee. So I'm going to use this now.
Yeah. And not all surgeons are the same. Not all school teachers are the same. This is a great one to be using as well. I'm aware there are cheaper options for sellers and it will be easy for us to simply match them. However, our service fee is based on a proven and tested selling strategy developed through our extensive experience. And of course, if you've got your case studies there and say, Mr. and Mrs. Vendor, this property, its first offer was $1 million, we achieved 1.1. This was at 950, we got it to 980. This one, we actually had an offer. Now, use these as case studies. It's so important. This happened to one of our team members. We had a coaching session last week. It happened to one of our team members where he got a sensational price for a property. The vendor said no, withdrew the property, went to another agent, and ended up selling it for $100,000 less. I would be using that as a case study in the lounge room. This is why you pay our fee. Do you know what I mean? So understand that case studies are so important. As long as they're real, do not make them up, right? So, however, so in this dialogue, and again, it's a concept, and you need to put in your own words. You're not going to get out a piece of paper and read this verbatim, of course not. But in casual conversation, Kristen, I'm aware that there are cheaper options for sellers, and it will be easy for us to simply match them so I can win your business. However, as I've demonstrated, our service fee is based on a proven and tested selling strategy developed through extensive experience. We've sold 50 properties, and hand on heart, every single one of them achieved their maximum price from the best buyer match that we did. Our past results speak for themselves, and we simply can't risk taking shortcuts. I don't want to risk taking a shortcut on your property that could cost you and other sellers tens of thousands of dollars. Right?
Yeah, that's a good.
So again, understanding the concept, but believing it as well, team, right? And that last one should be your belief, right? Our past results speak for themselves, and we simply can't risk taking shortcuts that could cost our sellers tens of thousands of dollars. At the end of the day, our fee is this: don't penalize me before we start. So, Kristen, don't penalize me before we start. If I don't get you the results and I don't live up to my promise, I'm happy to negotiate at the end. But don't penalize me before you get me started. That's like your boss saying to you, I'm going to pay you less for a week's work. Okay, and you can use that example as well. Would you be happy about that if your boss penalized you before you even got started? No. So
that's awesome.
Right. So it's a really good concept. Again, not all school teachers are the same. Not all surgeons are the same. Right. Not all real estate agents are the same. And this is the queen of listers, as far as I was concerned. It was Maria, my wife. She was a master in the lounge room. And one of her greatest lines is, the biggest mistake a seller can make is putting the wrong agent in front of the right buyer. And if you've got case studies to back that up, real case studies to back it up, my goodness, that goes a long way. And you win in the lounge room. This is how you win in the lounge room. But you need to have self-belief when you deliver this. And the way you have self-belief is through your results, because your results show through and you get passionate about it. Okay, the pen analogy. This is one of my other favorite ones. Where would you expect to pay more if I said to you, this pen, just pretend this is a pen. You can buy it in Big W and or David Jones. Where would you expect to pay more? And everyone shouts out David Jones, of course. And the reason we say that, it's like you're walking into Safeways or you're walking into Aldi, and there's no judgment on these establishments, please. But what is the mindset of a buyer walking into Safeways and walking into Aldi? They're both next door. The mindset is, if I'm walking into Aldi, I expect to pay less. Yes?
Yeah.
Walk into Safeways, I expect to pay more. Same as the David Jones and BW.
And
So
half
it's
the time
really
Aldi's better anyway.
Sorry?
Half the time Aldi's got a better product anyway, but it is just people's mindset.
It's mindset, exactly. So again, the way we present a property in the marketplace is, if we're not presenting the property really well, untidy, not styled and so forth. When it's styled, this is one of your greatest strategies you can use for styling a property. Mrs. Vendor, where would you expect to pay more, in an unstyled home or in a styled home? When you walk into the display homes, we're blessed in Australia to be able to walk into display homes. We often, every now and then, go to display homes, myself, even if we're not looking at selling it, I think, because we love the look and feel and get ideas for styling. But you're going to expect to pay more when a property is styled. It's a psychology. So again, and this is why, again, discount agencies have not worked. Okay, and team, for those of us that have been around for over a decade, we've seen them come and go. From the go-get-goes, from the purple bricks, from this, from the 1%ers, they come and go. And the reason being is, number one, vendors don't want to be seen as cheap in the marketplace. No one wants to be seen as cheap. So by putting out a discount board in front of your property, what is it saying about the vendor? And second of all, those agents are already on the back foot, because if the vendor is discounting their, if the agent is a discount agent, the buyer is already thinking discount vendor. So it's really important. Okay, moving on. Asking for the business. 10 seconds of courage. It's not life or death. And again, we find a lot of agents miss this vital step. And I know it's the rule of 3. You should ask 3 times before you stop asking for the business. It's the rule of 3. Shall we get the ball rolling? Shall I get the paperwork out? Are you happy to put me to work? Whatever your dialogue is. Kristen, do you have a favourite line?
I usually just, like, I'm quite cheeky in my appraisals. So I usually just go, so shall we just do it? Like, it's, in a cheeky.
Shall we just do it? What a line.
Do it, but I used one the other day. I had Rachel, who's new with us. I said, so, and it all just went quiet. And I said, listen, I've just proposed to you. Don't leave me hanging. That was quite a fun one, and they liked it and they signed. So,
That's gold.
You don't want to leave someone hanging when they've just proposed to you.
Yeah, that's right. Don't leave. But you know what I love? And I learned this from Matt Stein. Well, he articulated it really well. He goes, just talk to them like your mates.
Yeah, totally.
And by you just saying, don't leave me hanging, you're talking to them, you're their mate. And that's what we need to do, because we need to build that rapport, genuine trust, genuine authenticity, genuine energy that you want the business. So, shall we get the ball rolling was one of our lines that we used to say. Just make it nice and casual. The rule of 3, you need to be asking 3 times. You need to be closing 3 times. Some great questions. When would you like to see your property? When would you like to see your first open for inspection? Do you think an evening photo shoot, morning photo shoot? But again, not to be too salesy either. Not to be too salesy. Don't be too salesy. People can see through that. The best listing presentation, I can guarantee, team, is one that you walk out, that you don't bring out your glossy compendiums. And we've got some beautiful, like the Make Your Home Their Dream booklet. It should be a booklet that you use to help you in the listing presentation. Certainly not to be a flip chart to go through. Do you know what I mean? The best listing presentation is one that you just talk, you bring out a few case studies, you talk about those case studies, build rapport, and you get on with signing up the listing. Okay.
I've stopped taking anything now, Manos, since we never took much. I've never done a CMA report. I've never done anything real estate-y, really. but ever since I watched the wingman talk at Black Salt, and he said he just took nothing, and I was like, well, basically what I'm taking is a folder with nothing in it anyway. So I take a gift. We always give them a gift. We give them a candle, and which comes in a bag, and in there is a notepad, a pen, and a business card. That's it.
Yeah.
And
it's so
yeah,
and that's what we need to do. So again, it's got to be yourself. It's got to be your authentic self, and there's never a one size fits all. Remember, team, everyone has the same access to the same ingredients. We've got access to the same ingredients. It's how we put those ingredients together that separates us in the lounge room, separates us in the marketplace. So be aware of that. Okay, the final one, and we cover off on the listing, the full listing presentation, is the follow-up. Presentation 4, it is the follow-up. So we don't secure every single listing, but there's a listing presentation thereafter, and we call it the follow-up, right? Real estate agents do not have a lead generation challenge. They have a follow-up challenge. This is Jason Rose, good friend in the industry, extremely experienced, and we've found it's the follow-up that we have the challenge with. So understanding having a process for your follow-up. And this is, the last couple of slides on winning the business before Kristen gets on into her presentation. The after appraisal process is critical. And what I say to everyone is make sure that everyone goes on your chase list. If you're not using your Alpha and Omega workbook, team, it is, I must sound like a broken record. I must sound like a broken record. Like if you're not using this workbook, if you haven't downloaded it, if you weren't at the Black Salt conference and got your workbook, you can download this workbook and get it happening, because it is a game changer. And of course, then got some scripted dialogues in there for you to use as well. Destination selling, always look at their destination and make sure that you're helping them with their search and so forth to keep in communication. The communication plan, communicate the communication plan to those people. Okay, Kristen, I know you're not looking at selling right now. What I'll like to do with you, I'll keep you informed with any just listeds and just solds in the media area. Yes, I'll add you to our email list and our weekly email. That has gotten some great traction from the marketplace. Hundreds of people subscribe to it. And the other thing is, Chris, I know you're not coming onto the market now, but you would be letting buyers know about your property. If we had a hot one. So understanding your after appraisal process, it's all in your hands, right? And if you look at your Alpha and Omega workbook, we've got that little flow chart of what needs to happen after the appraisal. So we've hit the appraisal, as we can see there. We've hit the appraisal, then there's 3 things that can happen, right? Number 1, we have to do the after appraisal report, digital, analog, the appraisal listing, sales book, chase list, as we say, the Alpha and Omega book, director's colleague follow-up, okay? Sometimes we can use a third person to follow up. Right. So if I was Kristen's director and she just went out to an appraisal and she knew the vendor was pretty hot, I could ring up as a director or a fellow colleague, say, hi, thanks for having hashtag real estate out and Kristen representing us in the marketplace. I'm the director of hashtag real estate. Kristen's really excited about your property. She's matched to a few buyers. We've spoken about the team. If we can be of any help, we'd love to help, right? So even if it's a voicemail and getting a third person to do that, it just adds another tick. If they're on the fence of choosing some agents, imagine if another team member, right? If Kristen was working in a director's EBU and she had her team manager, she could ring up and say, hi, Jack's the team manager for hashtag Kristen and Jack's, and I'm just following up. Kristen came to your home 2 weeks ago, just following up on behalf of Kristen, can we be of any assistance? Having a third person follow up is critical. And of course, if you've listed it, go straight to the listing process. And if they're genuinely not coming onto the market, and of course, those soft appraisals are generally not coming on the market, but we know that 6, 12, 18 months, most of them do. And just put them on your client engagement program. And that, of course, is your database, property anniversary, database just listed, just sold, information websites, your blogs, and of course, your off-market buy match, which I mentioned earlier. And then, of course, the lost listing, right? So be aware, and Gary kindly shared his experience of his agents. You know, he selected 3 agents to interview to list his investment property. One of those agents didn't take the no all that well. Do you think Gary will go back to that agent if he wasn't successful with the first agent he sold? Absolutely not. So leave the door open, make it easy. If you lose with humility, and of course, learn from the experience, right? Wish them all the best, and then send out your thank you but disappointed card. You can even get the director's follow-up call. Again, lots of people don't return those calls, I understand, but just leaving a message on their voicemail is extremely powerful, especially if it's followed up with thank you but disappointed card. And of course, ask for that expired authority. And I had a coaching session with, again, with David Dwyer from our Merimbula office just yesterday. And we just spoke about the 90-day expired authority, that some of their vendors have been called by other agents, and the agents were saying, hey, should that be happening? Well, it's part of the process. If you've lost the listing and you know they're going into a 90-day authority, is it okay if I call you after your authority expired? Of course they're going to say yes. Keep in touch and hopefully get it on the rebound should that not be a successful sale. But always wish them the best. Okay. That is our listing, winning the business. Now we're straight on to Team Kristen and Jack's hashtag and talking about the pre-market. So Kristen, I've got control of the slides. You're going to say next.
Next.
And can we give it a big shout out to Kristen and for obviously sharing her time today and her insights. Thank you, Kristen. It's really, really appreciated. Your session at Black Salt was one of the most well received, and we loved it. So over to you, because I know this is a phenomenal strategy. The pre-market strategy is something that you use, and it's really helped your business and set you apart in the marketplace. That's the big thing. So can't wait to go through it with you and sharing it with the team. Go for it.
Thank you, Manos. No, very excited. You know, we like to set ourselves apart, so we do it in every way possible, including our strategies. We have had to, because if you watched my talk at Black Salt, you know, we started in COVID. So we had to be creative to start our business in COVID. And that's how we started, and that's how we've evolved. And that's why we love what we do so much, because it's so fun. Anything boring, anything stock standard, I would have probably closed the business by now. So when I say the word strategy, I like the word because I am a strategic thinker, but when it comes to clients, obviously the word strategy can feel like I'm maybe trying to coerce them into something, or I'm trying to do something underhanded to get them to, you know, commit to me when they're not quite ready. So we'll use the word strategy loosely, because the process is very client based. It's very client centric. Of course, it helps me get business. But it's all about the client and reassuring them and giving them clarity and making them feel safe, which is our catch cry in our business, is to make the customer, or make everyone feel safe. So we are going to go through quite a bit today. I am a waffler, so I'll try not to waffle too much. But if anyone has any questions, please just ask, and I'll answer as best as I can. So the first slide we're going to talk about is fear, trust, and the slow dance, which will make sense when we get to it. Reducing overwhelm. The word overwhelm is the whole, we'll get into that a bit later, but we'll talk about overwhelm, and when I talk about overwhelm, I'm talking about our overwhelm as agents, especially when you're running a volume business and you've got a team and all of that, but also the client overwhelm and how overwhelming this process is for them and how you can make it less overwhelming for them, which helps to get them to commit to you as well. Getting creative in a tough market, which is again how we started our business and how we've continued it. Our pre-market strategy, anyone who's with the agents agency will know I've been talking about this for years. We invented it. I mean, it's not like it's our invention, but our way of doing it. We invented it in year one, which was in 2020 in COVID, because that was a tough market, and it's evolved every year. And we're into year 5 now, I think, 5th year. Reasons why I'd love to do some brainstorming and some role playing with people on when you get to that point of trying to get the vendor to sign on the spot at the appraisal, what their objections are and how you can overcome them. We have introduced a pre-step even before the pre-market, which has been absolutely awesome. That's my new favorite toy at the moment. So that's still evolving, but the inception of the Coming Soon campaign. So Coming Soon is before the pre-market, which is before the market. And then I've got a really cool case study on the Coming Soon campaign to share with you all as well. So that's today.
Okay.
So the world at the moment. I just went to the hairdresser, as Arthur knows, because he tried to call me and I had to send him a screen of me with my hair like this. The world is in fear mode at the moment. Economically, even the wind in Victoria has been scary the last couple of days. Everyone is in some way uncertain about the present and the future. And I think ever since COVID, that's kind of been an undertone. And there's a bit of a collective, people are individually fearful, but there's a sort of a collective undertone. So how we started our business in COVID, and I find this market very similar to that, in that people are in a similar mindset right now with interest rates and everything, is how can we solve their problem of fear to encourage them to do what they want to do, which is to move, right? We're not trying to coerce them into selling their home if it's not the best thing for them. We're literally just trying to hold their hand through the journey, alleviate a lot of their fear, get them to trust us, because you can only have a strong relationship with someone once you're in the relationship. And obviously the pre-market strategy, which is a slow dance, but it actually speeds up the process if you follow it correctly. So you can go on to the next one, Manos. I'm just going to check here we are. That's good. So I learned right from the get-go that I'm someone who gets overwhelmed when there's a lot going on. So what I have started doing for myself, I've just realized there's a typo there, so don't worry about that. But what I've started doing for myself and for my team, and now for my clients, is breaking everything up into small little chunks to make the process seem a lot less stressful. And we do that in our business. Again, everyone knows Jax and I try to get away as often as we possibly can. We don't have children, so we have got the freedom and flexibility to travel a bit. We work our business in sprints, and we kind of follow the school holidays to do that with, but that makes the whole year seem far less overwhelming to me. If I'm trying to write 1 million or 1.5 or grow my PM business or do whatever, if I have to look at the whole year ahead and think about everything I need to do to achieve that, I probably won't get going. So everything's done in quarters and in chunks, but it's the same when you're selling a house. You walk into chaos, generally speaking, when you go and see someone. they've been thinking about it for ages. They're in turmoil. They're overwhelmed. They're thinking about where they're going to live, which is not even, they can't even think about that yet because they haven't sold their house and they need the money out of their house to sell. Do you know what I mean? It's quite, oh, well, I'm going to really try not to swear in this session because I know I'm known for it, but it's quite, let's call it overwhelming. So deciding to move home or sell your house is overwhelming, but it's not when you follow the pre-market strategy. Okay. Being a real estate agent can be really overwhelming, especially, I mean, we're carrying 20 listings, I think, at the moment, but it's not when you go through the pre-market strategy. And you'll find the reasons for that when I go through it. And the same with taking breaks, controlling your listings and at what point they move from one sort of section to the next allows you to plan your breaks. Do you know what I mean? Does that make sense, Manos?
100%. Because you're not launching with a full-blown launch campaign. It's in stages, so you can manage those stages. And of course, you're managing the process, the pre-market. This is my understanding, and team, I've had the opportunity to see Kristen's slides, and can't wait to see the slide where she actually outlines how the pre-market strategy has evolved. But the pre-market strategy actually helps you in the campaign and reduces your days on market. So suddenly this overwhelm of work, you've already educated the vendor. So when you get the right offers in the first 2 to 3 weeks, they're easier to get over the line. The whole process, you're getting fantastic results as well, and you're actually creating that energy in the marketplace. So totally get it, Kristen, totally get it. And
it's funny when we only started our business, as I said, 4 years ago, and we were running with 4 or 5 listings. I found that more overwhelming then than I do running 20 now, and it's not like we've only got the 3 of us that work in our team. It's not like it's because we've just become so smart about doing everything in chunks and controlling when we do things and knowing how things are going to go now, that it's just become so easy. So, but I really want to...
If you don't mind me saying, there's 2 really important facts that you've just mentioned. Taking control of the process, and this is what vendors want. They don't want to be, they don't want an order taker working for them. They want someone to take control. The second thing, most importantly, team, that Jax and Kristen, they believe in this process. They believe in this strategy. So that's why it works for the hashtag real estate team.
100%. And Rachel, who's just started with us 3 weeks ago, and I'll prefix it by saying that I've gone with her to every appraisal. But she's listed 3 properties in her first 3 weeks. The leads came through us, but she's running the campaigns. But her belief in this strategy, now that she's seen it and has watched it, she's like, I can't believe this is real estate. Why the hell is everyone else doing it the other way? Like, and she wouldn't have dreamed in 3 weeks she'd have 3 listings on the go.
And she's brand new in real estate, Kristen?
Brand new she's been a sales PA, but that's it. And PM back in the day. She's been a mum for the last 10 years.
She's familiar with real estate, but obviously not in the trenches as a traditional agent.
Yeah, without this strategy, I think she would struggle to get listings, but because of the strategy, experience isn't as important. And Jax and I we started again 4 years ago. We didn't have the numbers, the runs on the board. We didn't know anyone on the peninsula. So we had to develop something that would make people go, okay, well, I'll give these girls a go. Until now it's sort of evolved,
And further to that, Kristen, I want to add that, as everyone knows, I'm really focused. And as I presented at Black Salt, the director's ZBU, and the pre-market strategy will allow lead agents not to actually take listing presentations. I think this is a really big one. I want everyone to really think about that. When you build your director's ZBU and you build a team that knows the process, they can walk in to listing presentations on your behalf because you're the lead agent, and they will be able to win the business. And then that's where some magic is really happening. We're already seeing that, where lead agents are not even going to the listing presentation, but that's for another topic. And I'll share some of those thoughts at the end of the presentation.
That's become Rachel's role. So any property that's sort of maybe sub 800,000, she's an investment specialist. That's what we've labeled her, right? So anything to do with someone that might buy it as an investment, or, you know, her whole role is to deal with anything to do with investors. But you know, I had a referral in Clyde, which is about 35 minutes away, and Jackson and I just can't do it. But I really want to help this person because it came from a brother that we know really well. Well, Rachel's running it, and they're more than happy with that. So that's what this will evolve into, is just her taking all of our leads for certain types of properties and running with them.
Love it. Next slide.
Move on. Yep. Arthur, don't yell at me, but because I know he doesn't like it when I talk about old school real estate, or, you know, everyone knows that we're outside of the box. The market that we are in at the moment, and I had a conversation about 20 minutes before I went onto this Zoom, and I rang someone. He had 2 properties to sell just around the corner from our office, and we've been keeping in touch and everything. And I rang him because I said, I think I've got a buyer for your back house. And he said, oh, I've actually put the front house on the market with Andrew Milne from O'Brien's. And I was like, oh God, that shows how much I know what's going on in my area. It's literally around it's been on there for 3 weeks apparently. Anyway, he said he's just not doing anything. He's just put it online and, you know, waiting for buyers. And I said, and this is exactly what this slide's about. And the slide was made before I had that conversation. Generic real estate is not working in this market. You can't just pop a property on realestate.com at the price that you've plucked out of thin air and hope that buyers will come along. If they do, I think it's a fluke. It's about thinking outside the box, being creative with your marketing, learning how to negotiate differently in this market, learning how to list differently in the market. We cannot simply be doing what we did in 1948 at O'Brien's in Frankston. That's so that's my rant about that. So we're in a tough market. We have to be creative. Next slide.
No holding back, Kristen.
I'm sorry, but I believe in it. I believe in it. So our pre-market strategy is, yeah, as I said, it's evolved over the years, but the concept has always been the same. It's how can we gain the trust of our marketplace by showing them what we do rather than expecting them to believe us just on face value. It's really hard when you start out and you don't have runs on the board, you don't have children that go to school, you weren't brought up on the peninsula. It's really, really hard when you start out to get people to know you and trust you. So you have to be different. So year one was just what probably most people call their off-market strategy, which is, would you sell if we had a buyer? You know, if I could find a buyer for your home, would you sell the property? I'll write it on the whiteboard and, you know, we'll go from there. Year two, we evolved in year two, and this is to answer, Gary, some of your questions from earlier. In year two, when we still didn't have much market share, we would pay for, quite often, we'd ask them to pay, but if we got pushback, I'd happily pay for photos, floor plan, and copy, which was enough to get it onto our website. The most important thing I would say is in year one, when we went from zero to, you know, writing nearly $250,000 in our third quarter, that was because in COVID, I paid to put boards up on every single home that I could possibly get my hands on. So in COVID, I would speak to someone and I would say, hey, if you got your price, would you sell your home? They'd say yes. I'd say, well, look, we're not really doing much at the moment, but there's a heap of people walking because that's all we can do at the moment, 5 kilometre radius. if I pay to put my board up and someone offered you your price, you know, can I take them through virtually? So we had boards up in a little cluster area, and then all of a sudden everyone thought we were doing a lot, you know, but then that became, you sort of you've got to act how you want to become before you become it. Does that make sense? So people would see us with boards, you know, in a clustered area. They'd then see our bus that we paid for, and they all of a sudden they were like, oh, these girls are doing really well. And we'd only sold 2 properties in our, you know, in our business. So year 1 and 2 was all about, I'm happy to invest and pay whatever it takes to get a listing and get some boards up. So yes, I would pay photos, floor plan copy, and we would do it that way. Year 3,
perception is reality. That's what you were saying earlier, to give that example. Perception and vendors, we think vendors go into the detail of things. They don't. Yeah. Sometimes you just give the perception that you're an active agent, whether if you don't have the results on the board. But if you don't do that, they're not going to know. They're just not going to know.
And we had people in year 1 saying to us, oh, we had agents out last year for an appraisal. I don't know why we didn't get you girls out. And I was like, oh, yeah, I don't know. It's like, I didn't exist yet, you know, but it just kind of like omnipresence. It just happens. Like, you just got to keep doing the stuff. You got to keep doing the things. And then all of a sudden it happens. But year 3, we sort of delved a lot more into social media and doing drops, but it was kind of the same thing. Year 4, which was last year, the last year up until kind of this new financial year when we've rebranded our business. But we had a lot more momentum, I suppose. So it was easier for us to confidently get people to pay more at that stage than I was confident in year 1. Does that make any sense? So,
and can I ask you, was it a deliberate change in the title from off-market to pre-market?
Yes. Yeah. So, and again, I will pitch it in the lounge room that I will deliberately say this is not an off-market approach. You will have agents offer you to sell your home off-market because they have a buyer. That's what I believe off-market to be. You've got a house, I've got a buyer, we sell it off-market. I kind of always address the elephant in the room before the elephant comes up. So I say to them, if you had an agent with a buyer and they came through and they offered you X, how do you know that's the best possible price? You need multiple buyers. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a momentum point where we are telling buyers that we are preparing your property for market, but they'd still have an opportunity to buy it. So it's really important that we've got your Section 32 ready to go. We want and I'll get into dialogue on that a bit later, but we want the for sale board up. We want professional photos. We want the buyer to really feel like this is about to go on the market, because that is our greatest leverage point for getting you the best price.
Fear of missing out.
Fear of missing out. Once you go on the market, it's, you know, after week 1 and week 2, it's the buyer has all the leverage. So it's really important to frame it and address the elephant in the room. You will be told that other agents have buyers and they'll offer to sell your property off market. That's not what I'm suggesting here. This is not that. The only time, Mr. and Mrs. Vendor, you will hear me or see me use the term off market is if I sell it during that stage. Then I might market it that I sold it off market, because that's what people align with. You know, but it's really important that they understand that. I mean, if you explain to a vendor that you say to them, if you got taken through a property and you loved it, and the agent said to you, tomorrow at 12, this is going online, and you loved it, wouldn't you put an offer in? Why would you wait for it to go? Why would you wait for it to go to market? You know, every time, 100% of the time, the client just goes, this is a no-brainer. Yeah. You know, the other thing is, guys, about fear. People fear going to market and not getting their price, or they fear selling their property and then not being able to find something to buy. There's a whole realm of things, reasons, which we'll go into a bit later, as to why someone doesn't want to do this. The pre-market strategy combats or almost alleviates every single one of those fears before you even get to the end and ask them to sign, right? Because I'll say to them, look, if we did photos, floor plan, copy, right? And I'll prefix this as well. The amount of marketing you do in that pre-market stage is up to you. You don't have to do everything on that list. If the vendor categorically doesn't want a board because they don't want their neighbors to don't push a board. If the vendor doesn't want it on social media because they don't want their stalker to know, don't do social media. Like, you've got to tailor this to the person. Try and get as much marketing as you possibly can. But if all you can get out of them is photocopy, floor plan, and you run the pre-market process, you get buyers through, and the feedback is not aligned with their price expectations, you tell them, that's it, we stop. So they've paid about $500, photos, copy, floor plan, $560 odd to run a process to find out whether or not their price expectations have substance or not. Like, why wouldn't you do that? Do you know what I mean?
It's protecting their investment. So it's going back to that marketing expense and saying, which is a great strategy to be using, and saying, Miss Vendor, I totally understand. It is a big investment to go full launch, full market. Let's use the pre-market strategy to position your property correctly. And if it's not aligned with your price expectations, then of course we can pull it, and or let's go full bore. And I know off air, Kristen, we talked about what's the ultimate thing that most vendors say during the pre-market campaign to you.
Get it online. I'm over it. I want this thing sold.
Let's get it on realestate.com. Let's get the Premier Plus happening. Let's go full bore. And that's the excitement that you want from your vendor. That's the excitement that you want from the vendor. And also going back to pre-frame, the buyers and so forth, it's really important that we have the dialogue, and you really hit the nail on the head, Chris, in regards to this is not an off-market strategy where we'll sell it to one buyer that will match it to your property, because we want to make sure that we don't sell it to the underbidder. Every agent has an underbidder. All our buyers, if every agency had a whole bunch of listings and we've got a whole bunch of buyers, sometimes it's like the auction. The only person that we know who's paid the full price is the underbidder, but the underbidder didn't want to pay the maximum price, and hence obviously they lose at an auction. So it's really important that we're not entertaining with underbidders, but we're creating that excitement, that competition, so we get the full result. So use that underbidder term in so many aspects. So, you know, when you have agents say, we've got buyers on our books, and you have that objection from your vendor, goes, oh, the other agent said they had buyers. So, well, be careful they're not underbidders, because underbidders are prepared to pay the maximum price. Let's use this strategy to create that excitement, the fear of missing out, so we can maximize your price. Sorry, I didn't want to overtake it.
The easiest way to get them to pay for photos, copy, floor plan is, you've obviously looked at their property online before you've gone there. So you say to them, imagine if that agent's not telling you to spend $220 on a photo shoot, what they're going to do is give the buyer your address, and the buyer is going to Google your address and see what it looked like when you bought it. And every time they go, oh God, it was ghastly when we bought it, we've fully renovated it, even though they haven't, you know? So it's so easy. It's for $200. And then I say to them, if we do photos, floor plan, and copy, and we get our list of robust buyers through, we hustle, and we don't get an offer, and or the price feedback is nowhere near what you need it to be, you've got the photos, you've got the floor plan, and you've got the copy. It's all tangible marketing. You haven't actually wasted money. We just keep it on our system for when you are ready. We just don't go any further at that time. You might decide to wait until interest rates drop, or, you know, you might decide to wait for X, Y, and Z reason, but all it's cost you is $500. But guess what? When they don't go to market at that point, if they don't, I'll prefix that by saying 95% do. But the very small percentage that do decide to pause at that stage never go anywhere else, because you've done all this work and you've got their property loaded into Vault, ready to be clicked online when they purchase their next home or whatever. Quite often at the moment, people's struggle is we want to move. Forget selling the house. We want to move. But I'm so scared about selling my family home and then not finding something to move into, right? Okay. So I really, really don't want to sell before I buy, but I have to have the money out of this to buy. I say, right, let's try and help you simultaneously, right? Over the course of the next 2 months or 6 weeks or whatever you decide works with their timeline, why don't you guys get your property ready for photos? Don't even think about selling the house. Why don't you get your property ready for photos? Our team will help you look for something, something to buy. And even if we get your photos and your copy and your floor plan done, and then it takes another 3 months until you find a house that you're ready to buy, it's all good, because the hard job for you about selling your house is getting your house ready. It's done. The house is ready. It's blocking the process so that it's not overwhelming for them. And, all this work that you're doing without the 100% commitment of a sale, when I say that, I've always got a 90 or 120 day authority on these. They're committed. And I'm telling you now, once they see their photos and once they see it on your website, they're selling. They're selling.
No.
So it's the reason for this process is A, to get the business and get them to trust you. It's B, to make it a pleasant process for them, because you're helping them be less overwhelmed. And most people are full of anxiety these days and need that guidance. It's B, to build your pipeline, because not all of them might happen straight away. Some of mine take months to get ready. But my pipeline for spring is all from listings that we've listed throughout the year using this process. So, and it's a price alignment strategy, so it hasn't got one reason, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it certainly does. And I love how it's evolved over this period of time from off-market to pre-market. Now you've added the coming soon campaign.
Yeah. So if you want to move on, Manos, we can get through a bit more detail on the bits and pieces.
Okay.
So as I said before, my appraisals are conversations, and we are usually talking as though we know each other, and we're very friendly, even if we don't. That's my approach, and they tend to sort of go with it. So predominantly by the end of the conversation, when we talk about whether or not they're ready to sign, I know whether or not they're ready to sign because of the conversations that we've had, and I know whether or not to try and push for that or not. But I don't even worry too much about pushing for them to sign on the dotted line anymore, because I'll go through as well. My digital appraisal, Manos, is not like a program that goes out with bells and whistles. My post appraisal is just an email. If haven't signed it up on the spot, it's just an old-fashioned email, and it's very simple. But it just reminds them how simple this process is and how low cost it is and how low risk it is. So I don't mind if I don't sign it up on the spot, because I'm almost certain that email will get them over the line. So I know when to push and when not to. But when you get to the end, it's almost like they'll still have their reason they don't want to sign, because they went into the appraisal saying, I'm not going to sign. And the reason is because that no one wants to sign on the spot usually. And they'll say, oh, we're not, we use the example that I've been having a lot the last few months. We don't want to sell till spring because that's when the flowers are out and the garden looks beautiful. And all I have to do is refer them back to the pre-market strategy. And I say it's June. I say, all right, well, why don't we just get some internal shots taken, right? We can get the photographer to come back in spring if it's still available, and take some photos of the garden and do all of that. But why don't we just get some internal shots taken? And I just push that out to our database and see if we can get some buyers that way. And then when they come, I'll show them, send me all your photos of your garden in spring. And when they come to the open, we'll have them on display and show them how beautiful the garden is. You know, and then if we do this strategy and we don't get a buyer, then we'll just hold off until spring. Boom, sign the authority. Do you know what I mean? So you're saying, I want you, my dialogue to that would be, I want you selling before the spring rush and I want you buying when there's more properties on the market, you know, so let's get in first.
Great.
We haven't found a house we like it. I kind of ran through that before. Let's do it simultaneously. Let's get your photos taken and everything. And again, it happened yesterday. Signed someone up in the morning. I said, and you know, they weren't 100% sure, but they signed up, and then that afternoon we found a house we love. Well, you're going to market, you know.
Yeah.
So the switch flicks. The decision that's the hardest for anyone is making the decision, right? Making the decision freaks people out because they feel like they're going to get on a merry-go-round and they're going to be forced into selling their house and they're going to be homeless. That's the catastrophization that they make. So you have to make them feel safe by saying, guys, when you sign this authority with me, you are not signing an authority to sell your house. You are signing an authority to work with me, to see what happens, to see if you want to sell your house. That's all it is. I just have to do paperwork because I'm in a regulated industry and I have to. But you're not deciding to sell your house. You're only deciding to sell when we put a contract in front of you that you're really happy with. Then you're deciding to sell your house. But let's just run the process and see what happens.
Yep.
You know? So we're just not ready. Usually it's emotionally they're not ready. So again, trying to fragment it helps them. We still need to talk to our broker. Again, the pre-market strategy that we've spoken about kind of just it dilutes all of this. All you do is refer them back to it. Okay, well, why don't we chat to your broker? PS, we've got a broker we can refer you to, blah, blah, blah. Chat to your broker, but and if I've got Emily or Rachel with me in the appraisal, I'll say to them, hey, do you want to just text Cam, the photographer, and just see what his next availability is or what his availability is the week of, you know? Again, it's like, oh, he's available on the Wednesday. And we'll go, oh, does the Wednesday work for you guys, you know? And then you go, oh, that's 2 weeks away. Chat to your broker. And in the meantime, if it doesn't work out, we'll just rip the authority up and cancel Cam. So don't allow them, like, just answer their questions, but make them feel safe. You know, like Manos said, they want someone who knows what they're doing, but they want to be nurtured at the same time.
Yeah, they don't want an order taker. They want someone that's going to guide them through the process, and you're giving them options because that's what they're screaming for. Vendors are screaming for options, yeah. And you know, you're providing a runway before they take off.
Yeah,
and this is what it is. This is so Mr. Vendor. It's just like a plane taking off. So we need a long runway before we take off, and these are the processes that we'll do on the runway before we take off. And if you decide not to take off, then that's fine too. But at least you've made an informed decision and you're giving yourself every opportunity for the best results. Love it.
And every opportunity to say no if you don't want to. Like I say to them, yes. You're feeling so overwhelmed at the moment that you actually don't know how you feel. I said, when we dip our toe in this process, you'll start to know how you feel about this, about moving, right? You can call me on Monday and say, oh my God, I've had a nervous breakdown. I don't want to do it. I'm okay with that, you know, but I'm telling you, if they've got you in there, they want to move, you know, and as you sit there and just have the nice conversation with them and you're building that trust, you know, you might, like, sometimes I'll test them a little bit. I'll say, oh, this process could take months if we want it to. We can go as quick or as slowly as you want, but it could take months. And they go, oh no, I want to be out of here by Christmas. Well, there's your answer. Do you know what I mean? So unsure if they'll get enough on their sale to be able to afford what they want to move to. Well, again, the pre-market strategy. we will gather that intel during the pre-market phase. And if the intel is 100 grand below what you guys absolutely need to move on, I will be honest with you. I do not want you selling your house if you cannot move on. So if that means we've done all this work and it leads nowhere, please don't feel guilty for the work we've done. I don't want you to sell out of guilt for us. We're here for the long haul. So just reassuring them, we've got other agents booked in. Just again, I just say to them, look, I think you should have several agents in. I just got an appraisal in Noosa, and I had 4 agents come out. Mind you, that there was a $500,000 gap between the highest and the lowest in price. So you can't believe agents when they say they know the price. You know, I just say to them, and again, I'm not scared to walk away without the authority if they have got other agents coming in, because I know for sure that I've covered what every other agent's going to say, and I've addressed every elephant in the room, and I've done something differently that if they don't pick me, well, we just weren't aligned, and that's okay as well. Spring we've done, we don't want to spend any money on marketing in case we don't sell. Well, the pre-market strategy, you've spent X, and you've still got that marketing for when you do sell, or if you decide to rent the property out, we just use that and put it on our rental site. So it's not a waste of money. We don't want our neighbours and friends and family to know. And again, you just tailor your campaign around that. But most of them, like I said, quite often I'll sign them up just with photos, copy, floor plan. And by Monday, they've agreed to all the other stuff as well. Because they want to, by Monday, they've started cleaning up the house. They're over it and they want to get out of there.
And that's what happens psychologically. They move. Once you sign an authority, psychologically, they're moving towards the sale.
Yeah.
That's all it is. Yeah.
So does anyone have any questions on that? Gary?
You know, I'm always one for like too many questions, always, you know. I really like everything you're doing, and it's interesting because I've got a couple of competitors that I think, you know, do what you do very well. And it's something that I probably think that I haven't done enough of. So this is a really good session to be a little bit more forthright with really pushing forward with, you know, clearly we can afford some photos and floor plans, and Chat GPT's changed our world with copy and Grammarly and all of these things and these tools that we're using. So yeah, no, I just, there's a lot of language there that I've picked up that you said, so thank you.
Pleasure.
No questions, just love, good session.
Good. So this is my baby. This is my new baby. Other than Rachel. Rachel's my my new toy. I've told her, but this is my other new toy. And everyone knows I like to create. So look, we were doing this before, but we've just pumped it, and it's almost, to me, more exciting than the pre-market strategy, because it's actually getting more traction, and it's tangible. The things that we do during it are tangible. So I'll go through what the Coming Soon campaign consists of for us. And again, so I'd love to our website is #.realestate. Oh, you can see I've put it there. #.realestate. So no .com, no .au, no that. It's just #.realestate. Have a look at our properties for sale, and you will see the number of homes that just have a Coming Soon tile, no photos, the address and the price tag on it. So we've got properties on our website that we listed in May that we've been waiting for tenants to move out. We're getting work done on the property, but we've been able to generate inquiries through our website and our other strategies. So we get the authority signed. So what I'm trying to do, I guess, is tell you guys, if someone says they're not ready to sign yet because it's still 5 months away, or they want to they want to travel to Europe for 6 weeks over winter and they'll call you when they get back, you say to them, but there's so much work that I could be doing between now and then that costs you nothing, that may eventuate into a sale, or if not a sale, momentum for our pre-market strategy, which will give us more chance of selling your property before going to market, which is going to save you money and get you a better price. So it's so easy to get an authority when they believe that you're going to do work between the authority signing and the property being ready. And this looks like a lot of work when you write it all down. It's all done within 24 hours of signing the authority. So literally I sign the authority and Emily just does this and it's done. And it looks like we've done a heap of work. So sign the authority. People have got to know, I know it's a bit dorky, but every time I list a property, I put coming at ya on social media. And it's funny, I walked into the grocery store the other day and someone said, coming at ya. And someone else said to me, oh, how's the market going? I said, oh, look, it's really easy to list, but it's quite tricky to sell at the moment. He said, they're all coming at you. So yeah, it's quite funny. So coming at you goes on.
I mean, I did a whole session on trademark, and that's going to become your trademark, which hashtag has been your trademark as well. Yeah. So having a point of difference in the marketplace is often something that you repeatedly do and people become aware. And people sometimes want to change it and they go, oh, this week it's coming at you, next week it's going to be something else. And what I'm saying to people is no, stick to something that resonates with you, your authenticity. And the more you do it, the more. One big believer I have is a coming soon, be the agent next to it, squat down next to the coming soon little A-frame, and then take a photo and put it on socials. Who is it from McGrath that does it exceptionally well? Karen from McGrath in Sydney. She does it exceptionally well where she drives her white Audi up to the board, puts a sold sticker on it. That's become her trademark. I think it's just brilliant. So this is exactly what you need to be doing.
And trademarks are just a process. It's just a process. And once you start doing it, it just happens. You don't have to think about, oh God, I've got to do all these things and then, blah, blah, blah. Like it's just part of what you do. So coming at you goes out. I've signed people up and they're like, oh, I can't wait to see coming at you. Like it's so simple. So the third thing we do is we load it onto our agency sales pager. So the network agency has a pager in which we all load our new listings, sold listings, all that sort of stuff, because we have all got the ability to cross sell within the network. So that's part of the reason why Jax and I joined the network, is because we absolutely love the ability to collaborate with everyone, even from Queensland, Perth, doesn't matter. So list with one.
Thanks for the plug, Kristen.
Pleasure. I'm always good for a plug. I'll put my AA hat on and no. So it goes on the sales pages. So there, and again, I use that in the listing presentation. Guys, we're a boutique agency, but we're with a network. So it may be that, especially if you're pitching the pre-market campaign, we'll get all of our buyers through, but we've got a whole network of people that have got buyers. So the minute I list this property, I'm going to let everybody in my network know that this property is coming up. And if they've got buyers, they need to let me know about it. Okay. So it costs the vendor nothing. And it costs me nothing. Well, unless they sell it, but I'm happy for that. Two things will happen. If we are looking to get a photo board at the property, we'll put a just listed A-frame up, and everything we do gets put on social media. So I don't care if people think that we put too much on. That's our job. Our job is to be omnipresent. Our job is for people to know that we're active. People don't read the addresses. They couldn't care less what opens you're doing at what time. They're not going to social media to look at open times. We just, as agents, want them to see that we are super active. So photograph every single thing that you do and put it on social media. So just listed A-frame will go up if it's going to be a photo board. If it's going to just be a stock board, we just order the stock board straight away. It goes up within 24 hours usually. And then one of the team go out and put a big pink coming soon sticker on it. The reason for putting the sticker on it is psychology, because we want the buyer to feel like they are getting a sneak peek, and that we want them to put an offer in before we go to market. So that I'll say things to them like, come on, you know, you've got to put an offer in now if you don't want it to go to market. Come, we can rip this sticker straight off and put an under contract sticker on. You know, it's just psychology and play. But yeah, either of those two options with the board works, but I would always get a board unless they really don't want to. And if they don't want to because of the cost, for God's sake, pay for it yourself, because boards are the best advertising you can have. So Emily, so that's all done. So Emily will then, so coming at you's gone on, then a photo of the just listed board goes on, then a coming soon tile goes on. So that's 3 touch points on social media, you know, within 24 hours of listing the property. As soon as Emily gets the authority, she loads it onto Vault, which goes straight through to our #.realestate website. And that's where you'll see, I've got a picture of it later, of all the coming soon properties that we've coming up. We have a subscription to ActivePipe, and ActivePipe sends out, roughly 3 emails a week, you know, new listings, sold listings, yada, yada, yada. So we've now become known, and we tell our buyers, keep an eye out for our weekly new listings, because on there will be everything that we've got coming up. So our buyer management system is now just having them in Vault and them getting our emails and them reaching out to us, right? Because I don't have a buyer's agent really at the moment that's managing that. So our strategy has become just telling them, keep an eye. The minute you get an email with a coming soon, you like it, call me and I'll get you through. So ActivePipe gets put on our website, and then it's
fantastic. Sorry for interrupting, Kristen, but what a fantastic way of having building up your buyer pool of registered buyers. A lot of people do social media campaigns or social groups or WhatsApp groups and so forth, but this is so much better and so much more automated. And so let me get you on our coming soon mailing list.
It's so easy. It's not even a thing. It's so easy. It's we tried having a Facebook page. We did all that, but it was a lot of labor. Didn't have any, like, it didn't do anything really. It was a really good listing tool. That was it. So ActivePipe, goes out automatically, but then once we've got all the photos and everything back, we will do a manual blast out on ActivePipe as well. So inviting people to our pre-market open for inspection. Every week we do a list of all of our coming soon properties on social media. We do a drop of the local area with coming soon on it, inviting people to the open. We take some photos on our phone and video. We do some sneak peek type stuff. So it's all just keeping the property burning, letting the vendor see, whether it's 3 months or 3 weeks or 3 days that we run this coming soon process before the pre-market. The vendor needs to see that you are doing stuff, right? We've got to put our money where our mouth is, and we've got to do what we said we were going to do, which is actually work on your property, so that when I go to them at the end of both of these stages and I say to them, hey, I know you really had your heart set on 1.2, but it's looking more like 1.1. What do you want to do? They can see that that's not just bullshit, that I actually have gathered the intel. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and that's the most important aspect of it. And I know at the bottom there you've got start getting Section 32 prepared, but for our New South Wales guests, just be aware you'll need the contract. This coming soon pre-market, nothing can happen until you have your actual contract of sales. Obviously, in each state we've got particular legislation. In Victoria, we're allowed to promote a property without a Section 32, without a contract. We're not breaching our act here, but just be aware from your individual states that there could be some limitations before launching a property to make sure that you're obviously compliant.
Yeah.
Cool.
Absolutely.
All right.
So yeah, that's the stage, and as I said, that looks like a lot, but it's so little work but it has such an impact, especially for the vendor. But the next bit's what I'm really excited about. So I'm going to show you. So this is basically what that looks like as a visual, what I just explained. So coming at you, goes on straight away. The second image is the eView pager, what type of information we give out to our colleagues. And then they've got the ability to DM me or call me. Either the big board, the for sale board goes up with a coming soon sticker, or the just listed call flute on the right. It goes out on our coming soon. Again, I don't believe people are on our social media looking at what we've got coming soon, but the vendor loves it. And it shows that you've got a heap of stock coming up and that you're active in the marketplace. Quite often I'll do drops. George, your brother George Manos saw me on the weekend putting boards out at 6:30 a.m. He goes, "What are you doing putting your boards out and when you've got a team?" I said, "I love it. I love going and putting boards out. I love doing drops. I love putting our brand out. I'm obsessed with it." So coming soon, drops. Yeah, very simple.
What was he doing up at 6:30 in the morning? That's
I think it was probably 7:30. I think he was at the end of my run. He was starting and I was finishing.
I love it. Let's go.
So that's the visual. The next bit, so that's what our website looks like. If you go to our website, the first 6 on there are obviously what we've listed probably in the last week, I'd say. So they're all just the newies, the ones that are up the top. But if you scroll down to page, if you go to page 2, you'll see there's still some coming soons on there from a couple of months ago because they were tenanted and they're not quite ready, but it pretty much, a lot of it's ready to come on in the next couple of weeks. So it's going to be busy. But that visually just looks so good for vendors. Like, again, the strategy is to get them to sign, but the strategy is also to get market presence and market share and show that you're doing something different. The strategy is not.
Kristen, this is social proof. So if you're on your iPad in the lounge room and say, currently we have 6 properties in the coming soon phase, in the pre-market phase. I think, to me, that's very, very powerful. And of course, as you said earlier on, you need to build up to that. But even if you have 2 or 3, just say, Mr. Smith, I've got Hoadley Street, I've got Carrum Downs in the pre-market, in the coming soon stage. So social proof, if others are doing it, I'll do it too.
Yeah, 100%.
Quick question for you, Kristen.
Yeah.
So with our coming soons, we do it on our weekly email that goes out, and we put in like a list of all the properties, bed, bath, car. But what we found is when we were putting the address, we got a couple of little slick operators in our area. As soon as we put the address up, they would then start prospecting around all of the listings. So do you have a prospecting strategy immediately applied to the coming soon, because other people are geo-targeting your coming soons?
Nah, it wouldn't worry me. Honestly,
yeah, cool. Just curious.
The relationships that we build with our clients, with the amount of work we do getting them ready, would prevent me from having any fear over anyone else getting in touch. And that's not in an arrogant kind of way. We create a special bond that I'd be very surprised if anyone could kind of get in there, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it does. I mean, more so, like you've already got the agency agreement, you've got your exclusive, you're ready to roll. But do you do anything in conjunction with the coming soon to blanket that street to try and get into those other neighbors or the people?
I see what you're saying. Yeah, well, we do that. So the just listed board goes up, the coming soon drop goes out, then a just listed, just when we get the photos back, a just listed drop will go out. So look, I know what you're saying.
I think you're still doing the magic. I think you're still doing the magic, what we call the Magic 25 series around. Are you doing the just appraised as well, Kristen?
I don't. Look, Manos, last year when I had a bigger team, I probably did more of that sort of stuff. This year we've reduced our numbers. So in a perfect world, if I had a human that had time, I'd get them to ring the street. Or, the other thing I'm careful of as well, Gary, is that we we work alongside the Frankston office, and unless it's in my kind of little area, I'm just doing what I can around those listings. I'm not going to pummel the area and door knock and do all of that if it's in someone else's territory.
Understood. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
But and again, like the bigger we get, we don't prospect. That all our prospecting is just around our just solds and just listed. We don't do other prospecting at all, because we've got that many referrals and past clients that come in. The only prospecting tool I'm using at the moment is Local Agent Finder, which I don't know if anyone else has noticed, but they seem to have really taken off in the last 6 months. A lot of my leads are coming through Local Agent Finder. They're doing a lot of marketing at the moment. I noticed there's a big billboard on Peninsula Link and everything. But I don't have the time for more stuff. So I kind of limit what I do, if that makes any sense.
What a problem to have. And Tim, I've heard, Gary, you're going to say something?
Oh, no, I was going to say, look, thank you. No, it's just my ex sort of semi-business partner office, the McGrath office, they're very good at geo-targeting. And as soon as I list something in Angler Street or Main Avenue or something, it's like all of a sudden those bloody buggers have got another listing in that street. Anyway, that's why I was curious.
Yeah, no, I get it.
It's the oxymoron, team. And I know I did that in a previous presentation. The oxymoron of the for sale board is that 6% of local neighbours will call in that agent when they see activity, but 40% won't. It's that 60-40 oxymoron. So my suggestion to everyone is build your team, go wide, really work your boards to the nth degree, because it is the number one prospecting strategy. And again, I always, and you'll hear me say it a lot, the directors, EBU, and Kristen, you really hit an important point where if you don't have the human resources, there will be some stuff that will slip. Having said that, if you're getting enough leads coming in, and Joel would be one of the first persons who said, he goes, he had to switch off his lead generation because he actually couldn't cope with the amount of leads coming in, right? So this is real, and it does happen when you actually do all the steps correctly. You create a brand, you create that attraction agent that Tom Panos often talks about, and that's what's happened to you, Kristen, and that should be everyone's goal. Everyone's goal. There's no right or wrong about prospecting and what you should be doing. It's when you hit that momentum point is managing those inbound leads, and that's what everyone should strive for. So a big congratulations if you're saying, Kristen, we've got enough leads coming in that we can handle the capacity. So capacity is such an important aspect as well. So moving on, because I'm just conscious of time. So we've got 15 minutes to go.
Okay,
so,
no, that's cool. We're coming to the end anyway. I will say, the thing with that, Manos, is last year I had a team of 6, and now, up until Rachel's just started, it's now been a team of 3. You've got to, like, what I didn't do was focus on my profit, as you know. So you can write $1 million and spend $1,010,000, and what did you do it for? So that was a big lesson for me. So this year I've gone the complete opposite. I scaled right back, and now I'm rebuilding the business with very, very conscious decisions around not just volume is vanity, profit is sanity.
Profit is sanity.
Yeah.
Volume is vanity, profit is sanity.
I've been down the vanity path, and it's not pretty. So honestly, I will say, yes, there are things that we definitely don't do. And the reason we've put Rachel on is to handle the leads that the last 3 listings, the listings that Rachel put on, I possibly wouldn't have been able to look after. I wouldn't have been able to take them on. And I was just throwing money down the drain, so it was a conscious decision to put Rach on, and it's definitely going to pay off. But yeah, it is a real problem, to manage your labor and, It's hard.
Productivity, return on investment, and one of the strategies, and I'll share a little bit at the end in regards to directors EBU. So we spoke to an agent yesterday about, okay, let's get to 2.4. They're at 1.35 million. What do they need to do to get to the 2.4 million and build that directors EBU and plug in all those holes, but without working too hard either? So directors EBU is where it's at, and many agents are doing it. This is nothing. The term directors EBU is something that I've come up with, but it's because we've seen so many agents obviously effectively do it. So just be conscious of that. But this is a great case study of yours.
Yeah, and on the EBU, Manos, I will say, so we had 6 people last year and 3 this year. We're writing this. We're very, very close to writing the same money, and I'm working less. Like, because I don't have arms and legs running around that I'm chasing, you know, or giving people things to do because I'm paying them and I feel like I should give it to them to do because I'm paying them, and then I've got to follow them up anyway. It is so much more efficient, so much more profitable, and so much more better for my mental health. It's really
not as overwhelming. I think you said that earlier on.
Yeah.
Not
so
overwhelming.
No, exactly. Not overwhelming. So case study, this is really exciting. So 13 Hoadley Street was a local agent finder lead that I got sent through to my mobile on Saturday morning, last Saturday a week ago. So 10 days ago. I was driving from Sorrento to put out a board in Rosebud, and at about 8:30 I got a text saying local agent finder lead. So I just rang straight away. Got onto the lady. Half the time with local agent finder, they don't know you're going to call because they kind of con them into giving them their details and they don't expect a call. So I address the elephant in the room straight away and say, you probably weren't expecting my call, but this is who I am. Got to chatting about her investment property. I think she had 3 or 4 other agents call her, but by the Monday we had signed her up. I haven't met her and I haven't seen the property yet. The best thing in Victoria, you now need an authority to send a notice of intention to sell. Am I right, Arth? Yep. So you need an authority to send a notice of intention to sell. So it's so easy when you get an appraisal for an investor that doesn't live locally, because as long as they're happy with the way you're communicating with them, you can get an authority pretty much straight away because they usually want to get cracking, you know. So that was the case with this one. So we got an authority. We served the notice of intention to sell. The tenants are vacating anyway a month earlier. Happy days. The stock board went up with a coming soon sticker. It went on our website and it got blasted out on Active Pipe. And you'll see there that here's who's interacting with your weekly listings on Active Pipe. So 13 Hoadley went out and you can see there 5 people clicked on it. And if you don't have Active Pipe, you can then click into Helen Francis, and Helen's a prospective vendor of mine. You can click into Helen Francis and you've got her phone number and you can call Helen and say, hey, Helen, I've noticed you've interacted with 13 Hoadley. Is this one of any interest to you? And when are we ready to get cracking on your place? Right. So Helen's clicked on it 3 times. So she's been back in and she's clicked on it 3 times. So that's really cool as a visual. Then you can see from that, a lady called Bianca Sukek has from Active Pipe has requested an inspection, and she said in there, hi, oh my eyes, I think I'm getting old. Hi, is this property available for inspections yet? I'd be keen to take a look. I'd spoken to Bianca the week before. I knew exactly who she was. So Bianca's been spoken to and obviously we'll get her through. Then I got a text from a lady called Beck. I don't know who Beck is, but she's inquired about it. She's either seen, I'm assuming she's seen the board because she wanted to know the price range, which was on Active Pipe. And then old Barry has gone so far into Active Pipe that he's reached props and he's registered his interest. You know, so that's like that's within a few days. And literally all I've done is list the property and done the steps in the previous slide.
And you haven't met the vendor yet?
No. And
Yes, in fact.
I haven't seen the property yet.
So just being a little bit creative. Love it. Love it.
But no,
Well
but
done.
again, the price, and as the thing is that the price range, it can it can change as long as the vendor agrees to it. Every time I talk to them about pricing the property, guys, we've got to put a price on the authority, but at any given moment, especially if it takes 3 months to get a property ready, we're going to be discussing price again. As long as you get them to initial the authority and, you know, cover your backside, the price is not an object that can't be moved. You know, so yeah, so that was just a really awesome case study, which again, I don't really take things to appraisals, but I've just asked Emily to make something up nice. I will take that to appraisals with me because that's going to back up the coming soon pre-market strategy. I won't even have to waffle this much.
Love it.
That's it. So
awesome. Well, you got to finish with this.
Oh, if you love what you do, you love who you do it with, and you love who you do it for, that is success. So that's us. If you do look, if you approach everything with love, to be honest, you can't really go wrong. And that's how we run our business. Everything is done for the right reasons, with the right intentions. And if you go into an appraisal and be a friend that has their best interests at heart, if you get the business, that's great. If you don't, it wasn't meant to be, and you just get on with life.
Yeah, 100%. Well done. Team, can we give a big round of applause virtual round of applause to Kristen, and of course to the other half as well, Jax, because I know she's all part of this as well, Kristen. So a big shout out to you guys. You've done amazing things from a cold start in COVID to where you are today. To have the market presence and the recognition, really, really well done. And I think the most important thing and what sets you apart is that you set yourself to be different. You don't want to do the same. You're not seen as the traditional. So a big shout out. And I know I'll just finish off on a couple of slides, team, just to what's happening later on. But once again, thank you so much, Kristen. Absolutely invaluable. I know lots of people got some great takeaways from it. So a big thank you. So,
Manos, just very quickly. I'm more than happy if people want to, if people do want to reach out. I do some business mentoring and coaching. So if anyone does want to reach out and discuss that with me, more than open to it as well. I do have a very different style, but you know, I think it all comes back to living your best life and knowing who you are. And sometimes it takes someone else to help you figure that out. So yeah, that's
no, really well done. Really well done. Thank you, Kristen. Okay, so team, in regards to the virtual sessions, we've completed our 4 virtual sessions now. The next session is on Thursday, the 3rd of October, building the A-team. Super excited for that. Also, we do have our business leadership, our first of the business leadership virtual sessions coming up, which is on Thursday, the 26th of September. So only a couple of weeks away. Scheduled for 11:30 to 1:30. It's a first of 3. And what would your business need to look like if you decided to keep it for the rest of your life or be in it for the rest of your life? So and it will be focusing obviously on the 3 profit centers, building the director's EBU. And making, how do we automate our businesses so it can give us the lifestyle and relieve us of that overwhelm. So looking forward to presenting that in September, and we'll have a few guest speakers on there as well. Let's go there. Next one, and of course the next session, as I said, October, Thursday the 3rd, building the A-team. This one's going to be a sensational one, team. Building the A-team. It's going to be a real different twist to what the normal traditional building the A-team is, and who you need to surround yourself with. Please note the change of time. We're back home in a couple of weeks, so I won't be presenting from Crete. It'll be from Melbourne, so Australian Eastern Standard Time, 11:30 through till 1:30. Lastly, please lock in the dates for the 10th, 11th. Early bird tickets out soon. The platform should be launched very soon. Is that correct, Maria?
Yes.
For the booking of the tickets. And that's it, team. A really big thank you once again to Kristen. Thank you so much. And also to Gary, who participated as well and shared some insights. I'll leave you on this note. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. A big thank you. Arthur, anything to close off?
I think that was a great session. Lots of takeaways in that, that's for sure. Yeah, as you said, thank you for everyone for joining in. Really appreciate your time as always. Wasn't a lot for me to ask there in the chat box, Manos. That's why I was a bit quiet, but all good today. Thank you. Enjoy the afternoon.
All good. And of course, team, these sessions, just a reminder, are loaded onto the Black Salt membership page that everyone has access to. So be sure to visit that, download some of the documents. The PDFs of the slides will be there as well for you to review all the notes. Okay, cool. Thank you once again, team, and catch up soon. And as Kristen said, reach out if you need anything. By all means, we're here to help. Thank you, guys. Be good.
Bye. It's been awesome.
Thanks, Kristen. Thanks, Manos.
Pleasure.
Thank you all.